Dove hunting is one of the simplest forms of hunting. All you really need is a shotgun, your proper permits, and a place to go. But if you're new to dove hunting, getting started might seem a little complicated. You could spend all day just looking at empty skies and not have anything to brag about. So in this video, we're going to go over 4 tips to help you get started dove hunting. Actually, it's going to kind of be well, it's not even really a tip because it's more of a common sense suggestion. Make sure you know what a dove looks like. Don't be one of those hunters that just goes out there, shoots anything that flies across the sky, and just hope it's a dove. That is a quick way to get a fine and probably lose that shotgun you were hunting with. But before we get into the real tips, do me a favor, and if this is your first time on my channel and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload a video. And the first tip to getting started dove hunting is to make sure that you are concealed. Just because doves have tiny brains, it doesn't mean that they are stupid. Doves have great eyesight when they're flying, and they will spot any unconcealed hunter. Wear camo that matches your surroundings. You want to blend in to the features that are around you. If you can, make a makeshift blind out of cut tree limbs or corn stalks or anything you can do to hide yourself and your movements. You don't need to be as careful with your movements as if you're like turkey hunting or something like that. With turkeys, it's like you blink and they see you. But you do need to make a conscious effort to minimize your movement. And the second tip is to break out a few decoys. A few dove decoys can help you entice some of those birds into a closer, higher percentage shot. They are very affordable. You can get a couple of full body decoys. You can even get a little fancy and get some that have movement. They're robotic. Or you can go as cheap as cutting out a few silhouettes from cardboard. Scatter a few decoys on the ground, on fences, or even dead trees. If you put them on fences, space them about a foot apart and make sure they are on the top strand. And if you put them in trees, put them as high as you can reach and back a little bit from the edge of the branch. And a little subtle detail that you might not think makes a difference, but it really does, is you need to face your decoys into the wind. Doves land and take off with the wind in their face. And the third tip to getting into dove hunting is do at least a little bit of scouting. Knowing where the doves are going to be and when they're going to be there is vital to having a successful day. It's just like any other hunting. You need to try to have as much information as possible. If you go in there blind, you might bag 1 or 2, but it would be nowhere near as productive if you'd put in a little effort beforehand and made sure you were in a good spot. When you find a spot you think would be a good place to dove hunt, you need to scout it out before 9 in the morning or after 3 in the afternoon because doves are more likely to be moving around at that time. Take some binoculars with you, and if you see some, watch them for a little while. What you're looking for is where they enter and exit a field or any other kind of opening. Doves like to use structure to orient themselves. So if you have a tree line and then there's a sudden dip in that tree line, that might be a good place where doves will funnel in and out of. You also want to look for points in fields, ditches, power lines, and definitely pay attention to recently plowed fields. And tip number 4 is to make sure you know their habits. Doves are seed eaters. They love corn, they love wheat, millet, oats, anything that has a seed on it, they will just devour. That's why I especially mentioned recently plowed fields in the last tip because those are perfect for dove hunting. They prefer to eat on bare ground, something that's been recently mowed or recently plowed because they skip leg day all the time and they don't have the strength to dig through all that brush for too long. We'll just say that they don't like, having to jump through a bunch of obstacles. If it's pretty clear, you can bet that there will be some doves picking through the area. Understanding their daily routines, their habits, will help you learn where they're going to be at particular parts in the day. Pretty soon after leaving their roosts, they will go straight to a watering hole and then they'll go right to food after that. They will stay there till probably around midday. They'll typically hang around watering holes around noon and they'll stay there for about an hour or 2 and then they just go right back to food for probably the rest of the afternoon. So if you learn their patterns, you will have no trouble finding doves when the season does open. Dove hunting is also a great way to get all of your hunting buddies together. It's a very social type of hunting. It's not uncommon for people to organize annual dove hunts with all their friends. It's also a great way to introduce new people to the outdoors. So if you can, try to take at least one new person with you this year, especially if it's kids. Just make sure that you are safe. With extra hunters out there, it can get a little dicey sometimes, so make sure you have rules clearly defined so nobody accidentally gets shot in the face. No Dick Cheney incidents here. And so that was 4 tips to getting into dove hunting. If you have any more tips, leave those down in the comments below. Hit that like button if you like this video, share it if you found it helpful, and make sure that you are subscribed so you can stay informed.